curse words. What is it? What are the words? Tell me about your language itself, your curses, your poetry. Talk to me about that.
Well, I'd have to talk about language as an entity, first of all. Some say that language began as a result of our evolution from primates. Apparently most primates, they groom each other. They pick fleas from each other's backs. That's how we know everything's okay. Oh, it's okay. There's ticks being removed from my neck. All is right with the world. The ticks are not being allowed to flourish. But somewhere I heard tell of a primate breed that grazed with their hands. Their hands forever occupied, they were unable to groom one another. So with the invention of tools in our own history, we were unable to groom and coalesce and reassure with our hands. So these monkeys that graze grass with their hands, they chatter to each other. They chatter to reassure each other. And from this chattering, language begun, just to let everyone know it's all right. Perhaps, what's most children's first word? Mother. Mother. There's the dawn of all language. Now, once all of us, wherever you go in the world, shaking of the head, other than India, the shaking of the head means no, the nodding of the head means yes. Language clearly has some common root. To interrupt the white noise, the endless blur, the slew, the grey gruel of language, the all-pervasive, blinding nonsense on which we're inundated, spluttering and coughing, all of us on this foul, insipid, toxic lake, newspaper ink day after day, pumping our brains full of nonsense. Occasionally we need the life raft of a curse word or a beautiful illusion so we can set sail free from mediocrity. So once more we can conquer the storm, the tempest with higher things, but sometimes with lower things. Sometimes it just needs fuck.
So you use the word fuck a lot. We talked about fuck.
People do. It's got an awful lot of potency, hasn't it? I suppose it's because onomatopoeically it's very it's flattering and fascinating and satisfying to hear the word fuck. Monosyllabic words are very arresting. Staccato linguistic rhythms are interesting to hear. Eminem, I sit back and relax with this pack of zigzags in this bag of this weed that gives me the shit needed to be the most meanest MC on this earth. And since birth I've been cussed with this curse to just cuss and just blurt this bizarre shit that works. And it's like, it's exciting to hear that, the zigzag rhythm of that, the staccato element, that score is interesting to the ear. And I suppose fuck has now acquired a certain amount of cultural baggage, but within it, it has objective qualities. The labial puff at the beginning, the expulsion of air, satisfactorily rounded with wonderful aggressive sounds, of course, just a bubble of between the two.
So all your language. So in your when your plays were being put on in your day, I mean, thank God you're here today with us, but the ones that are putting on now, do you care that these contemporary groundlings get frightened of the language or your words? What do you think about your words?
I suppose after a fashion it's a pity, but people will draw their entertainment and their references from their times. But there are themes that are not limited generationally. There are some things that are constant and perpetual, and I don't think there are any other ideas worth examining. So it's unfortunate, I think, if this work isn't accessible to everyone, because the themes are there. There is sex, there is violence, there is humour, there are things that are relevant to everybody's life, because if you're not writing about that, then what are you writing about? If you're not performing that, then what are you performing other than a veil, a distraction? One of the themes that's endlessly intrigued me is the material fabrication, not only of things, of matter, of objects, but also of ideas. All of these things, transient distractions, with a palace intrigue, matters of court, who's going to win X Factor. These things will all, like sand, dissolve.
There it is. But I meant specifically that people will say, I didn't understand his language.
Oh, well, try not to worry too much about that. There's a lot of things I don't understand. There's a lot of African tribal dance that leaves me baffled, but, you know, I still like the rhythm. You won't worry too much. That would be my idea. You'll still find things within it that are exhilarating to watch because of the poetry, the language, the actors, the colours. Enter where you will. Who knows what draws people from the bed each morning? As long as you get up, buy a ticket, have a look. That would be my advice to you, because it certainly wasn't designed for duchesses, this entertainment. Of course, we had to take the gold. We had to obey our patrons in a practical manner, but it's for the people. It's for the people, because you can't make much money performing to the elite, because there's not very many of them. That's the nature of the elite. If there was too many of them, they'd have to give up their title.
So I'm going to get back to asking you about Caliban and the curse words. Here's some of these curse words: cockered, dankish, fobbing, gore-bellied.
All wonderful sounds, aren't they?
Yeah, some of these words. Oh, listen, clapper-clawed. You just went through this. Is this...
Clapper-clawed is a vaginal condition that is transferable through sexual contact. Excess mucus and dermatological flaking around the vagina. Wonderful piece of language. Awful condition. Like saying it, don't like having it.
Fen-sucked?
Fen-sucked is to suck the space between the testicles and the anus.
How about hammer-mugger?
Hammer-mugger is...
Hugger-mugger. Hugger-mugger, that was one of yours.
Excuse me, could you repeat that?
Hugger-mugger.
Hugger-mugger is involuntary buggery.
Jolt-head?
Jolt-head is premature ejaculation.
Maggot pie?
Maggot pie is to fillet numerous men simultaneously.
Words like hell-hated. Hell-hated.
Well, that's kind of self-explanatory, but the point that I was trying to make through Caliban's declaration is sometimes education is not a blessing. If you're furnishing people with information so they can better understand their condition, their imprisonment, then what have you really given them? Language, the glorious gift of language, that the beautiful ability to manipulate sound and vibration, only to understand that he is imprisoned and that he can use language to curse his condition, to score his body painfully as the information scored painfully his mind. That's what that was to illustrate, and it is a wonderful excuse to use some quite frankly fantastic swear words.
So talk to me about your idea of Caliban, and how did it compare with the movie version of Caliban? What, you know, he's called all kinds of words.
Shakespeare, as written by me, was never meant to be read, but meant to be performed. That's why it's boring when you learn it at school, because you're learning a dry, wheaty version of it. You're eating it cold, not cooked and fizzing. Cinema is the best thing that could have happened to this work, because there are no distractions or restrictions. It can be as visceral and as exciting as it needs to be. You can render through the landscape psychological ideas, through special effects. You can bring to life ideas like spirits and sprites and heaven and hell. Suddenly these things can be made real, made flesh. So this is the perfect medium for my work, cinema. Perfect, what a breakthrough. Wish I'd thought of it, we didn't have the film.
Well, when you did this play, where was it done, The Tempest? Tell me about I mean, you look awfully young, but, you know, I guess people did die. You've come back to life for us, or you stayed alive, actually.
This is how I'd like to remember me. This is me in my prime. Of course, of the 7 ages of man, I didn't fancy turning up here as a mewling infant or a schoolboy with his satchel, and I certainly didn't want to come here as a frail old man coughing up blood, a second infancy, so I thought come as a soldier and a lover, in my prime. The time when I wrote The Tempest, yes, in a way, is a summary of my work. Yes, it's a resurrection of some of my best fools and greatest lovers. Unique, perhaps, among my plays, it was performed indoors, so that gave me access to special effects, such as they were, a little bit of lighting, a little bit of wizardry, a little technical wizardry, but nothing compared to what's available now. What we had then was the wonderful performances of the actors of the time, which you still have access to, a few flickering lights, some sound and fury, in this case not signifying nothing but signifying something, a little bit of drama, and of course, the narrative and the stories, the timeless stories, the way that these stories, these archetypical stories occur in our dreams. We dream in narrative. We fall asleep and without effort, we create heroes, we create mentors, we create the point of no return while laying somnolent in our beds. These things are as much part of us as our skulls and our bones and our blood. These stories are relevant now, and they will ever be relevant for as long as there are men. And there's no matter how stupid people try and make us with this idiotic drip that they attach to us, somewhere within us is the remnant echo of majesty and of glory, because God is in each and every one of us. The cosmos continues to infuse us with majesty constantly. The narrative of life continues. Fascinating at every stage, the birth of a baby rabbit, the development of fur and bright glowing eyes, its twitching ears, the time it mates, the time itself it procreates, the dramatic death, the drama for that one rabbit, a meal for a fox, and then as its remains decay and are devoured by ants, this too is fascinating as it again becomes part of the earth. The whole cycle, the whole ballet, perfect, beautiful, limitless, infinite loops of life. The spheres of the cosmos, the spheres of the very particles of which we are made. The looping hexagonal chromosomes within us, the chromosomes and the endless diagonals of the universe. The geometric repetition from the smallest to the highest, everywhere. Billions of light years apart, particles exist, moving in perfect harmony, an echo of the perfect explosion, call it God or call it what you will, that created all life, and that explosion, that resonance, that vibration can be heard still in each and every one of our voices, so be careful what you say.